I think we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to kick it off. Everyone nice and comfortable back there? Excellent. Thank you guys so much for joining us here today as we look into some conspiracies.
Yeah. You know, I remember the first time I flew into the Denver airport, and I was like, what the hell is all over the wall? And then I get outside, and I'm like, that is the most heavy metal horse I've ever seen in my life. And I thought like Denver might have like this huge metal scene, but I was sorely disappointed with all the granola instead, but it's okay.
Before we get into the airport, let's introduce ourselves. I'm John Lorden. I am host of BRAINSCRATCH and Searchlight on YouTube, and also the Seriously Mysterious podcast. Joining me today, my friend Justin.
I have a little podcast called Generation Y. Started back in 2012. There wasn't a lot of true crime out there when I started. And the first true crime YouTuber I started watching was one of the few out there. So it was sort of funny when I finally crossed paths with John, because I've been watching him since he started in the very beginning. So it's kind of fun to be up on stage with him.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it too. I think it's the first time we've done actually any formal type of crossover. We've known each other for years at this point, talk to each other all the time, but so I'm feeling pretty special about this today too. How many of you have been to Denver International Airport?
Yeah.
Just about everyone in this room.
Yeah.
So has Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah.
I always want to put an N in there. Macaulay, I'm calling him. The Denver airport is the scariest place I've ever been in my life, he says. Yeah.
He's an expert.
That's right. And here to share more about that, Macaulay Culkin. No.
I even looked.
I tried. All right, unmasking the mysteries, conspiracies of the Denver International Airport. I first looked into this about 8 years ago on BRAINSCRATCH. And at that time, I was very open to just trying to process a conspiracy theory, just trying to understand what the beliefs were, and then seeing if you could actually find any information to help back those up.
Citing sources is always important, and most of the time in these things, there's no source.
Yeah, absolutely. And for Denver International Airport, I mean, there's things about it that are amazing. First of all, it's the second largest airport site in the world. It is 53 square miles, larger than Boston, larger than Miami, larger than San Francisco. Giant site. It opens in 1995, which I think kicks into the conspiracy theory thing a little bit, because that's about when the internet starts becoming popular as well. Denver has 300 miles of roads, the airport, just the airport, 300 miles of roads. It's the third busiest airport in the US, sixth in the world. If you're curious about the largest site, that is King Fahd in Saudi Arabia, which is 300 square miles. But I looked at a picture of it, and a lot of it's dirt.
Yeah.
I'll just be honest. Yeah.
This is why it takes an hour to get from the airport to Denver. You're just driving out of the airport the entire time.
Yeah. They processed over 77 million passengers in 2023. They moved 280 million pounds of cargo in 2023.
That's a lot of drugs.
And it was 16 months behind in terms of its launch, and $2 billion over budget, nearly double the price.
That's with a B. 2 billion.
Billion.
Yeah.
So obviously it must be a secret underground base for rich and powerful elite.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
A lot of theories kind of spin out because of some of these facts here. Let's look at these theories real quick. Justin, you want to read through some of these?
Okay, we got secret underground tunnels and levels. And obviously, this is what added to the budget. This is why it took them so long, because government doesn't ever overspend or anything. We have this imagery in there depicting the New World Order. This is the cool metal art that's inside. We also have Aliens' sister site to Area 51, which I tried to pull images of Area 51. There aren't any, but there's tons of images of the Denver airport. Go figure.
I have the proof. I'll leave it at that. We'll get to that.
Statues that move, speak, and even kill
Statues
passengers.
that kill.
Yeah, I didn't know about that one, so we'll get into it. Lizard people. If you don't know about lizard people, come on. V's been around since the 80s, and what was the other one with Roddy Piper? Anyway,
They live.
They live.
Yeah.
The coordinates for Devil's Tower in Close Encounters of the Third Kind points to the future site of Denver International.
Obvious government planning, right? I mean, it's in Close Encounters. It's in a major Hollywood film. We'll start by debunking that one. Actually, it doesn't point to Denver.
Yeah.
It's like 60 miles off. So, yeah. That one we can knock off the list. But I do just want to be clear that conspiracies exist.
Yes.
Do you agree?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I read
Official.
that Jesse the Body Ventura book.
Yeah, the activity of secretly planning with other people to do something bad or illegal. Does anyone ever watch Survivor? Do you remember when The Blind Side used to be a move that would happen like at the end of the season, like maybe done once, and now it's like every single elimination is a blind side? Those are a form of conspiracy. Those are people working together to their own benefit against someone else. But you don't have to take my opinion for it. Let's get an expert opinion on this here.
Absolutely.
Oh, who is this?
And it's weird that this comes up. There are people that are conspiracy minded, and then there are people that just insist that conspiracies can't exist. Which I don't know about you guys, but if you've ever been cheated on, guess what? You were the victim of a conspiracy. It is almost human nature for people to have secrets from each other. That is a conspiracy. A group of businessmen getting together to fix prices, we already know that that occurs regularly in our industries. Those are conspiracies. But there's this mentality from the other side that conspiracy-minded people are ignorant, they're not willing to look at facts, and there's this kind of know-it-allism or this elevated view that, I'm not dumb enough to fall for conspiracy theories. Man, then you obviously have not researched the CIA. I mean, there are things that we know for a fact are conspiracies that have gone on. We have documentation, we have the proof. Not to mention, like I said, it seems like it's basic human nature.
I love that there's an Illuminati symbol on the screen the whole time.
Just wait till we get the overhead shot of the actual airport.
Yeah. Okay, so known CIA programs with conspiracy elements. Just to fire through these things real quick. And if you haven't heard of these, feel free to look into them. Like these, files have been released on these instances. Project Blue Book, which was UFO analysis ongoing for years by the CIA. Operation Northwoods, false flag planning for Cuba. Some people think that's tied into what happened at the Twin Towers. MK Ultra, drug testing in interrogations. Operation Popeye, cloud seeding during Vietnam. Project Mockingbird, wiretapping journalists, and fake vaccination program used to find bin Laden. That's all stuff you can go and find information on. It's legit. We know that this stuff happens.
And if you do Monster Energy Satan, the marks on here are the Hebrew letter of 6. So monster is 666.
Oh, wow. Throwing bonus conspiracies at you guys now. Drink your monster, everybody.
Drink my devil juice.
All right, Justin, you wanted to tell him about this. What's going on with this image?
So the idea is it's a swastika. Okay, now there are multiple runways here, and if you only highlight certain ones, you absolutely get a swastika. Do you want me to go ahead and debunk it right now?
Sure.
Because this is, like he said, one of the largest airports out there. And in order for that to happen, you have to have flights coming and going from all directions. And this actually is the most efficient design, as problematic as it looks. You can have planes coming in from north, south, east, and west, and getting off the runways fairly quickly.
Yeah, and I mean, even if we are thinking about it in terms of being a conspiracy of some kind, like what would the benefit be?
Yeah, like,
You know, like are we? It's a cue for the aliens, for the Nazi aliens. This is fly in here. This is where we want to bring you in. There was even a pilot that commented that there was really bad weather out here, and he said it was a miracle that they could have 3 planes all landing at the exact same time because they're coming from different directions. Like, it's unheard of, basically, to be able to do that, and it's only because of that design. So, is it a swastika-ish? We can see there's kind of a double leg on one side where it doesn't exactly match up, but outside of that, was it designed in some nefarious way?
I mean, we'll get to it, because there's some stuff going on here. It's problematic.
All right. Along these theories, Freemasons come up. And this is a picture of a capstone that is actually in there.
I have a friend who is a Freemason. And I said, what do you do? Tell me. And he goes, I can't really talk about it. I'm like, but you can tell me. And he said, well, last weekend we put together a gift box for Mrs. Robinson and took it to her because she wasn't feeling well. And I was like, community gesture, yeah.
Oh, that's how you cover up all the evil you're doing, right?
Yes.
Actually, we have a picture of that friend.
Oh,
here we go.
there he is.
Yeah, there he is.
Free Aaron.
So this capstone has caused a lot of issues, and we'll get to it in a moment here, but I had someone leave a comment on my earlier video, and he was talking about knowing a Freemason as well. He said, I happened to work for a man when I was a teenager who was a Freemason. He was one of the kindest, wisest, giving people I have ever known. He taught me what it is to be a good person and how to treat others. He was constantly giving food to food banks and toys to the many groups that distribute toys to poor children at Christmas. I know many people who think that the Freemasons are somehow part of some evil conspiracy, yet the interactions I've had seem to indicate nothing more than a group of wealthy, or not, people who just want to make the world a better place.
We won't go into the Freemason conspiracy, but you can go back to the Knights of Templar and back into history and see the origins of that, but it's really loose.
Yeah. Now, with this particular picture, the things that are brought up about it are the symbol in the center that you can see, which is actually the square and compasses, and there's a G in the center of that. Now, History.com reports that that is the most well-known Freemason symbol, and if you look at other Freemason imagery, you'll see that symbol everywhere. The G at its center remains subject to dispute, though. So people out in the public that aren't Freemasons don't really know exactly what it's for. Some experts at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology believe it's for geometry, because we are talking about builders, essentially. And others believe that it represents God.
Both could be right. And I remember my geometry class, I said, if I know the length of the window, I don't really need to know the length of the wall because I have a tape measure and I don't need the formula. So yeah, I hate geometry.
So are they responsible for the design and secrets of this airport? Well, kind of a part of it, at least a very specific part of it, they have this capstone that's been put in the building. I used to work in Hollywood. You would see Freemason imagery and messages everywhere out there on all of the big historic buildings. There is a time capsule that is under this capstone, though. It's supposed to be opened in 2094. Yeah.
Mark your calendars.
Yeah, this guy's going to open it.
Aaron will still be around. He doesn't age.
And we've just have a couple of comments I pulled from Reddit, just people saying, the plaque is a symbolic cornerstone. Stonemasons are one of the oldest and largest fraternities, and their symbols and ceremonies are still widely respected. Absolutely. Another one down here, the inscription on the stone tells you why the symbol is there. The capstone was dedicated by 2 Grand Lodges. Their names are listed on the capstone, but there's this other reference on the capstone, which is New World Airport Commission.
New World Order.
that's part of what ties into some of the New World Order thinking on this. If you actually run a Google search on it, Google's smart result, which brings up Wikipedia, says, well, I'll take it over Reddit, to be honest. And I'll definitely take it over Gemini AI.
Yes.
A group that has never existed. And it's not just saying that because of Wikipedia. There's many articles, even written from journalists out here, that are saying the same thing. This group never existed. Actually, it does, because if you search on that specifically, you'll find one entry at the Denver Public Library for New World Airport Commission. And as a matter of fact, they have a collection of boxes there, 10 boxes of materials.
So not a large group.
One guy that liked to read. No, basically, the New World Airport Commission was named by Charles Ansbacher, an arts advocate who died in 2010. And when I was coming through the airport, I saw a big sign about him. They have a big picture of him when I was walking over to the baggage claim.
You pay enough money, you can get your picture anywhere in any building.
Right. Well, you have money if you're buying the kind of art this guy has, I
Yes.
think. The name is a reference to Dvorak's New World Symphony, according to a 2007 Westworld article. So what was this organization? Basically, it was for the launch party for the airport. It was these guys, they were having an air show to kind of kick off the airport, and the committee that was putting that air show together made this group, the New World Airport Commission, specifically just for that party. All 10 of those boxes are all just information about the planning and execution of the
So it
party.
was a party planner group?
It's a party planner group, guys. Yeah.
How evil.
They're throwing the VIP mixer tonight. Did you know that? Yeah, and as for that time capsule, so now I'm worried about this time capsule. Is there some kind of disease waiting in there to...
Confetti? Bunch of spring snakes popping up in the guy's face.
From the Denver Post, they say that the time capsule, which is to be opened in 2094, contains coins, a signed opening day ball from Coors Field, Mayor Wellington Webb's sneakers, and a few Blackhawk casino tokens.
Wait, no music? 1995 was like one of the best years for music.
That is a great point. There should be some
come
CDs
on.
in there. Yeah. Well, it does say there's other items, so maybe there's some music in there. Yeah. All right, so on to the next one, underground tunnels. Now, the theories on the tunnels kind of vary. There's some people that say that there was like actually whole buildings that were built down there, up to 7 different stories worth of levels. The official word on the tunnels is that they're for luggage transfer. And we know at this point, they're certainly using at least some of the tunnels for luggage transfer. There's footage of it.
I thought these were tunnels under the tunnels.
Well, those we can't find out about,
Okay.
apparently. But yeah, they had originally installed this multi-million-dollar automated baggage system. So it was all supposed to be like conveyors that were doing all this electronically and moving it around. Because it's a wide airport. I was surprised at how long it took me to walk over to the baggage claim.
And your bags still aren't there.
That's true. I beat my bags. The automation system failed miserably because it couldn't account for like, oh, there's a gate change, oh, this flight's been delayed, and the luggage will wind up on the wrong plane, outside of complaints of the luggage would show up and it was mangled or it was destroyed. So they kept trying to work on that baggage system for years. And I read some pretty in-depth articles about the problems they had in terms of the technology. They basically, in 2010, they just said, okay, enough with it. Like, we're just completely shutting it all off. So now they have about 1,000 people that work down there that are driving those tunnels and making all of those baggage runs.
Think about how much money they spend on that baggage system. Just, yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, they sure, and for a long time.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
Like, if you're looking for a constant source of funding,
So-
that baggage system still isn't working.
Sunk cost fallacy. That's what it's called.
He's not going to let it go. The tunnels are 7,000 feet long, according to the Denver Post. So a lot of guys driving around down there. And then we get to The friend you already mentioned.
Lucifer. He's my metal friend.
This is Lucifer.
That is like, I'm sorry, but any other airport you go to, it's some crafty crap, you know, like modern art with squares and a triangle or something. You guys got this. Come on. This is the most badass art I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, yep. Lucifer is 32 feet tall. Some call him that because of his demonic eyes, which my Lyft driver was sure to point out as we drive by. He's like, look, his eyes are glowing.
Yeah. Because why wouldn't they?
Yeah, of course. But the name of the piece is actually Mustang. And there is a story around Mustang that does sound like an urban legend, but it's actually true. This piece did kill the sculptor, Luis Jimenez.
Hell yeah, it did.
Yeah, here's a picture of Luis. According to the New York Times, in 2006, he was finishing the 9,000-pound cast fiberglass sculpture. A piece came loose, and it fatally severed an artery in his leg.
What is this picture you pulled? It's like some H.R. Giger, like,
I know.
weird.
It's honestly, it's one of the best pictures I could find of him. There's not a ton of pictures of him.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that part actually true. We do have one of these things kind of paying off. But let me ask you, Justin, who's this?
That's the Egyptian god of death.
That's right. I heard someone call it out there. That is Anubis.
Anubis, yes.
Yeah.
And I think the TV show American Gods is probably one of the best representations of Anubis on TV. Yeah.
Why is he at the airport, Justin?
I mean, plane crashes? I don't know.
To create them? He's the god of death.
I don't know. Why do people have dream catchers hanging from their rearview mirrors? Like, I don't know.
This is the start of a theme we're going to see with some of the choices for the artwork here.
Yeah, no, it's a bad choice. I would say. People need to feel good when they're getting on a thing of metal that's flying through the sky, and I mean, you see Lucifer when you get off the plane, but if you saw Anubis as you're getting on, that might be a sign.
Well, what if you live here? We have many people that live here. They're driving to the airport. You've got your 3-year-old in the back seat. Mommy, what's that?
I mean, this is why I don't have children, because I would explain it.
That's the god of death. Listen to this metal album right now. Thankfully, this was a temporary marketing display for an ancient Egypt exhibition at the nearby Denver Art Museum. But I do want to ask, can we agree that depicting the god of death at an airport, maybe not the best idea? Thankfully, he is no longer there. But we do have more nightmares for children.
Now, gargoyles, they have a lot of different meanings.
Please, enlighten us.
But one of them is to ward off evil spirits. That is one of them. And there was a Saturday morning cartoon that came out after I graduated high school that I never watched.
That's right. It had a bunch of cast of Star Trek The Next Generation, gargoyles.
And one of the episodes was actually pulled because it was so violent. Yeah, I think it was like episode 8, season 1, was pulled because they deemed it too violent for children. Yeah, that didn't happen to me in the 80s. They didn't pull episodes then.
Did you see one of these guys when you came in?
No, I actually didn't see them.
I did.
Yeah.
And it's kind of weird just because the way the airport's laid out, there's so much space where there's nothingness. I stepped on a conveyor belt, I swear a day passed by, and I got off on the other side. It was just this long hallway. And then all of a sudden you'll come across this piece of art or something. And where they've got him, he's kind of propped up on this big, tall column, just kind of looking down at you. And it's just, in pictures, it's one thing. You're kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, it's funky. It's kind of an interesting piece. It's weird. But when it's looking down at you, it's just a little different.
Have you been to London? These are like at the McDonald's, I don't know.
It's true.
I mean,
it's true.
And are these the ones that move?
Not yet.
Okay,
no.
sorry.
These are the
Jumping
static ones. So Notre Denver is the name of these art pieces by Terry Allen. And it features 2 cast bronze gargoyles perched inside suitcases, watching over the east and west baggage claim areas. Historically, gargoyles were placed on buildings to protect the site. These gargoyles are to help ensure the safe arrival of the baggage. Apparently, they weren't doing their job when the airport opened.
Yeah, stupid baggage system.
Yeah, yeah. So we did talk about, we had a statue that killed, and we do have a statue that talks.
That's a little too close for comfort, lady.
Oh, damn.
What, you never seen a talking gargoyle before? Welcome to Illuminati headquarters.
Oh, it's because of the conspiracy.
Oh, it's because of the conspiracy. Look at me, I'm a little know-it-all. Will you get back over here? I got a question about this conspiracy.
Disinformation campaign, right?
Yeah. They're trying to, get everyone to be like, we're making fun of it because it's not real, but it absolutely is real. So that's how it works.
They leaned into this really hard. I think somewhere around 2016, they started this whole Den Files campaign, like X-Files, get it? But it's Den Files.
Yeah.
That was Greg the Gargoyle. Originally, there was an actor that was giving all that commentary. Greg, apparently, I believe he's still in operation there, but now he just has canned phrases that he kicks out like every 20 minutes.
He's an NPC.
Yeah, he is. He's an NPC at this time. There was so much that they leaned into here. I did find the proof. Denver and Roswell become supernatural sister airports.
Oh.
This is a real article that was posted. I had to go to Wayback Machine to pull it, but this is from Fly Denver. And there's actually a sentence right at the bottom here. Let's see. They're working together to promote business, commerce, trade, and tourism. The new sister airports also plan to share their extraterrestrial combat plans, including air service growth and development. So, yeah.
No comment.
No? What about this one? Are we creating the world's greatest airport or preparing for the end of the world?
Yeah. So this is the whole thing, the end of the world is going to happen, and the elites have paid for a special spot in this bunker or some sort of system underneath the airport. But for some reason, they're broadcasting it with the symbolism, the whatever is going on here. So yeah, they're bringing on for they're preparing for the end of the world.
This next comment's a little meta. What exactly are we doing, Justin? Adding amazing new restaurants and bars, building an Illuminati headquarters, or remodeling the lizard people's lair?
I mean, that's just a multiple choice question. I was expecting D, all of the above.
Yeah.
So
they really leaned into it in terms of the marketing. They've since rolled it back. The Den Files website, if you try to go to it now, it just pushes you to the regular Fly Denver. Like I mentioned, trying to find the original posts, they're all hidden at this point. Greg the Gargoyle, you could still find. Some of the airlines have their own videos kind of doing this as well. I think it's United that has a video as well. But we've been kind of easing you guys in. Let's get into some of the stronger points of interest, which is really some of the artwork that's inside there. And it starts with this one here. Justin, what do you see in this?
I see a skateboard park. This is where I would go when I would skateboard.
Yeah.
And get the cops called on me.
Okay, well, the theorizing online is post-apocalyptic ruins.
Rodents?
Ruins.
Ruins, okay.
Ruins.
I was like a rat maze? Sorry. Ruins, okay, I mean...
a depiction of after the big thing happens. And,
okay.
yeah. Not seeing it?
No.
Yeah. It's actually called Hidden Garden. It's by Michael Singer. It was meant to look like ancient ruins, but in the years after its installation, a bunch of the plants, it's kind of a living exhibit. A bunch of the plants died. And the airport has spent like $15,000 a year just trying to keep up with taking care of the plants.
Your tax dollars at work.
There we go. It leaks water, apparently. But it's still there, and apparently looking more ruined than ever.
I mean, I can't keep my plants alive either, so I get it.
It's a tough challenge. This next piece is the first one I saw when I actually walked in.
Yeah.
What do you see there?
It looks like a big satellite dish, like sending messages to the lizard people up above, so I can say, E.T. phone home.
Okay. Well, in the past few years, a new trend has popped up on TikTok of people looking at this particular piece and saying, that's flat Earth.
Oh, I didn't even catch that part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It's a flat Earth down there. I don't know that it's, pushing any kind of belief that flat Earth is real or flat Earth theory. Like,
Yeah. I saw the blue antennae and thought, message,
yeah.
lizard people.
Well, this is called Dual Meridian. It's by David Griggs. The official explanation for it is one side of the artwork uses recycled rail and indigenous Colorado stone to reflect an Iron Age sensibility about travel. And the other side presents a tiled world mosaic and futuristic fiberglass forms to reveal the space age spectacle of flight.
Can I just applaud you on your level of research into each one of these things? All
I
right.
was trying to find the answers. It's what you got to do. All right. Well, let's get to the number one way to scare Macaulay Culkin or your children, and that is the murals. And you've probably seen a few of these murals a lot.
This would be my album cover.
Does look like an album cover.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's horrifying, isn't it? It's great.
Now for my deep research on this, there's something about this imagery, especially, we've got the kind of Nazi reference because of the swastika thing. That hat, it reminds me of almost like the SS had a version of a hat like that was black, but the shape of it, an eagle being on the center of it. The hat is probably what grabs me the most. Like if it was just a gas mask, you could say it was a soldier of any type. I don't know if other militaries have had hats like that. I couldn't quite find a good cross correlation there, but.
And then you have all the people crying in the background because of this destruction and war that's going on, and then you have the white bird down at the bottom, and he's kind of jabbing at it with his sword, killing innocents.
Yeah, children sleeping on rubble. I'm curious about that baby that's in the foreground. Is that baby deceased? Like the mother's weeping, the way that the baby's body is being held. Pretty dark imagery around this. And there is another piece that kind of falls into this as well. Fire and destruction in the background.
That's a bison head, and we have this is upsetting imagery if you're at an airport. This is not what you're used to seeing. You're used to seeing, just random, fluffy bunnies and, whatever.
that turtle on the left is crying. We've got a penguin encased in ice, it looks like.
Yeah.
Panic and fear clearly on the faces of the children, but in the lower right, that's a kid in a coffin, right?
Hell yeah, it is. That's the name of my band, Kid in Coffin.
So glad you don't have children. So these are by far the most controversial of the images, the ones that are brought up most frequently. And in terms of the New World Order, we have that piece from the stone, we've got the image from above, and we have what looks like some form of Nazi soldier. So that's really where that whole kind of New World Order methodology kind of comes together. But these aren't the complete murals that we've seen in those two images. And as a matter of fact, those are the smallest sections of these murals. Here is the first one with the Nazi soldier, but here's the whole thing. And you can see on the left side, we've got a much bigger piece that is literally about peace. It has the word peace written in numerous languages on that ribbon that's cutting through the center there. Children are smiling, arm in arm.
Surrounded by a rainbow.
Surrounded by a rainbow. Yeah. Now, if there's anything weird about this, some people do point out that they are holding flags of their nations that are covering a bunch of weapons. But I don't know if that's to show that they're putting them away.
Yeah, and they're like stomping on the evil soldier at the bottom. And kind of, putting war to rest.
Yeah. Now, the thing that's a little interesting to me about it is just, when I read from left to right. And I'm just curious about the interpretation, because you could really look at this as, the end of the story is what's happening over on the right side.
Yeah. evil prevails.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Got it.
I don't have kids either. Here is the complete for the second piece that we looked at. This is actually called In Peace and Harmony with Nature. The previous one, Children of the World Dream of Peace. So even the title on this one,
They dream of it, but they ain't getting it.
right? It kind of, yeah.
Yeah, got it.
It kind of makes me think that that's a dream over on the left side.
Okay.
But so in peace and harmony with nature. And again, this one, beautiful imagery. Everyone's happy.
Well, and this is perfect for Colorado because you guys are like in peace and harmony with nature here. You got mountains, and your elk or whatever are always in the road.
Really? You guys have elk always on the road here? Who described it? Was it you last night that was saying? Someone in one of the parties was talking about, I wake up in the morning, it's beautiful vistas. I go look over there, it's beautiful vistas. I'm just kind of get tired of beautiful vistas. It's just everything's a beautiful vista.
Yeah.
It is, though. It is beautiful.
Yeah.
So these murals are by Leo Tanguma and are meant to depict humanity existing peacefully with the environment in post-war harmony. Now, I think he's talking about the second one on that one.
Yeah.
They also feature the terrors of war and pollution. Amongst the chaos is a group of sleeping children. From their minds extends a gray mist that turns into a rainbow, leading to a portrayal of an ideal world, and that is in harmony with peace and nature. Interesting thing about this guy.
He has Steve Buscemi eyes. Oh wait, I'm sorry.
No, that is interesting. And he's got military background.
Yeah.
If you look at his other pieces, he's really into juxtaposing kind of youthful looking art. That's where these kind of kids come into play. And then there'll be some super graphic skull like in the middle of it.
It's perfect.
It's absolutely perfect. So yeah, they went through some grief around this. His daughter, who helped on these murals, said during their creation, we did have a few people come in at the time that were painting, and they said, don't paint this. There's a new world order. We had no idea what they were talking about. So they were getting, from helpers, they were getting some notice about what is this work that you're doing. As soon as the conspiracy theories began, Tanguma lost 2 valuable commissions, and both he and his daughter say that they were harassed. I've heard he's a little lighter on the harassment. He says that most of the conspiracy theorists were nice, but there was phone calls, there was people coming by the studio. His daughter says she was basically getting the worst of it. So.
Yeah. And Ministry put out an album with New World Order as the first song on there. It's great. It's about that same time.
So Justin and I are now starting the Artistic Awareness for Children organization, but is there anything about a true conspiracy here that can hold up? I kind of wanted to put it back into play. 53 square miles. Can anyone proclaim to know everything that's happening in the city of San Francisco, as an example? No. And even employees at some point, are they going to have access to all of that truth, or are they going to be confined? It's a secure area. They're going to be confined in some way. Excessive flight traffic. Who's keeping track of everything that's coming in? Was that a 747 or was it a Martian cruiser?
I'm not watching.
Yeah. Excessive foot and car traffic. Are those airport employees? Are they travelers? Or are they people working in the deep underground military base?
Yes. That's what it's called.
The failing underground infrastructure, the equipment, the computers, the motors, the hardware, most importantly, that funding that you touched on earlier. What happened to all of that? I think you're making some decent points.
Yeah.
And of course, what about the extra $2 billion? Now, when we first talked about doing this talk, he immediately had his counter argument ready. So I'll let you take it from here.
So Kansas City just built a new airport, okay? And they got all these different bids from different contractors. They ended up going with one, and of course the other ones started suing because they're like, there was nepotism, you guys picked this, and blah, 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 favoritism. Lawsuits broke out. This one contractor bid it out at like $800 or $900 million, and it ended up being 1.5 trillion. Okay, or
A billion.
Yeah,
Billion.
1.5 billion. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it went way over budget. Was long overdue with the creation of this airport. Okay. Let me just read this. The cost estimate for the terminal had varied greatly since the project was approved in 2017. Initially estimated 946 million, and it fluctuated around from 1.3 to 1.6 before settling on its current budget of 1.5.
A bargain.
Yeah.
So it went down.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of money, and I mean. There's government over expenditure. That just happens. But I'm still wondering. I'm like, this airport sucks. I like the old one better. So then I started looking into the KCI airport, and I saw some very disturbing things.
Okay. Before we jump to that,
Yeah.
not just airport projects, but I found over at Strategy and Business that they did a study of 100 years worth of infrastructure projects. A staggering 91.5% of projects go over budget, over schedule, or both. Like less than 1% actually come in on budget, on time, and delivering what they promise.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
That's
All
way
right.
worse than I thought.
But back to KCI. This is the most controversial art
Yes.
that we could find at KCI's new terminal.
Okay, so the first one is cloud gazing, because, that's where the aliens are going to come from. So you're always gazing up at the clouds.
That's
right? The fountain of youth. You're going to live forever.
Fountain of death.
Fountain of death or fountain of youth. Okay. Let the music take you. Where is it taking us? Into the apocalypse, of course. What's the other one? What's it down there at the bottom? The
Molten swing.
Oh, come on. I mean.
Yes. Ornithology.
The study of birds, and you all know birds aren't real. Google it.
Yeah. Those aren't even birds. Those are
No.
saxophones.
Yeah, like they can't even come on.
Sky prairie.
Prairie in the sky, it's heaven because we're all gonna die,
Yeah.
and they've gone over budget.
And the air up there.
Yeah, up in the air by Nick Cave.
Nick Cage. He's a very talented man.
Yeah.
Okay, I think the point we're making here is, and I kind of hit this with my argument as well, because I fly out of Minneapolis. And Minneapolis is known for being a very artsy city. We have nothing scary in our airport at all. We have tons of art, but it is art that is representing the history of the area, or it's about aviation, or it's about sports figures, or kind of beautiful geometry and colors. Like even the female form, not really on display in terms of any of the art there. So what we're seeing at KCI is the same thing, just kind of their art is being picked differently. But of course, they have this awesome airport director at KCI. Did you know that?
So, I mean, this is the thing there isn't a conspiracy about the KCI airport. Yet we went way over budget, it took way longer. There was controversy and lawsuits over who got to build it. And you saw the artwork, you can look at anything and pull whatever you want out of it. I look at it and I see what I see, but you might just see really boring art.
Yeah. So ultimately, when it comes to Denver International Airport, I could not really find where the rubber meets the road. I couldn't find anything that could help validate. I could still find pockets where you could say, well, there might be some reasonable thing to assume that there's a little bit of a black box here. We don't know everything about extra layers down below, where all of that money is going. But I don't want to discount conspiracies. That's kind of why I wanted to wrap this conversation in terms of some of the CIA stuff. We have David Robarge here, the chief CIA historian, talking about the fact that back in the 50s and 60s, they were running tests on the U-2 and the Blackbird, and people were reporting those as UFO sightings. And the CIA, instead of confirming that, basically said, no, natural phenomena.
Yeah.
And that left it to us to figure out, well, what is it then?
Interpret.
What exactly is that? So a quote from David here, the agency's interest in concealing its early UFO investigations ultimately proved to be counterproductive. It just led into later charges of conspiracy and cover-up. I think the main thing, if there's a takeaway or a big warning for everyone in this room, it's about the conspiracy of silence. I think you might have seen this even in your jobs, your personal lives. People that are in positions of power, if they do something wrong, all of a sudden they'll hush up. You won't be able to find the details. It's a very real component to all of us. So,
Like when HR says you need to come talk to us at the end of the day and they don't tell you why, that's the silence, and it just makes your mind go.
yeah. And the big problem in all that is, like when we're talking about the CIA and we're talking about our nation and security, secrecy may be necessary.
Yeah.
But it is a form of conspiracy in itself.
And I just want to add one more thing. If you had a storm shelter or a bunker in your backyard and an apocalypse did happen, would you want to broadcast that out to your neighbors that you have a safe place? No, because you don't want everyone running there. Like, why would they put this artwork up? Like, oh, these elites are so brazen that they're like, hey, by the way, the apocalypse is coming and we're going to have this little bomb shelter here. But
This is where the party's at.
yeah, like, no, they're gonna, like, there's not a single image of Area 51 because they want to keep it secret. And if there was something at the Denver International, they would want to keep it secret and not broadcast it out through weird artwork and a blue horse.
Kind of a good point. I can't say anything after that. I think that about sums it up. What I can say is thank each and every one of you for being here. Thanks for hanging out with us this afternoon and being a part of this. Thank you. Sure.
Love it.